Miss AV person, can I be mobile with this? Will that mess up anything you're doing? I don't want to stand up here and just, yell at you guys. I'd rather move around just a little bit, plus I can see the slides a little better. I'd like to, oh, I'm okay with this. It's just in the interest of time. So I want to tell you guys just a little bit about myself, if you please will indulge me. This is my hometown. I went to Sheldon. I'm a local boy, okay? You can't be a federal employee and be any more local than I am. Yeah, I'm a federal employee, and I'm glad that our deputy director came, and I'm glad our regional director came. But if you guys think of me as a federal employee from DC or somewhere else, you're going to hurt my feelings, okay? Jose, when's the last time you saw me in a sport coat? I put this on special for you guys today, okay? All right, so we're wearing our, dress-up clothes today. So we are literally here in the field with you guys. My job is to help you, whatever your organization is. I don't care if you're a higher education, a house of worship, a water treatment plant, a state agency, a federal partner, a county election office. My job is to help you make better informed risk management decisions. I've assessed in the neighborhood of about 870 facilities in my professional career. I have a master's in strategic planning for critical infrastructure. I've done assessments for NASA. I'm not making any of this up. So I'm really passionate about critical infrastructure, and I think you'll see that come out in this presentation here. We were able to get a $500 million allocation for a regional resilience assessment program, and we looked at transportation infrastructure and how it would be impacted by a Cascadia subduction zone 9.0 earthquake, and what would happen to all the intermodal transportation sites, roads, bridges, airports, marine ports across the state. Hadn't been done before. We got access to the world's third fastest supercomputer. We used some machine learning, artificial intelligence. There's some cool, sexy stuff in here that I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm doing all that to set the stage for what we're building upon and moving into the next RRAP. This is about 5 or 7% of what I do. So I don't have the bandwidth to do multiple RRAPs at a time. They're huge systems of systems, 3D chessboard assessments where we define criticality and linkages between nodes and what happens when nodes go dark. You pick the reason why. I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to be around for questions, and I'm going to do my best to leave Q&A at the end. But please put your seatbelts on because we're going to go fast, okay? You guys ready? See if my remote works. Sorry. There we go. So that's CISA. That's who we are. That's our vision, our mission statement. Go to our website. Look at it later. Let's go. Okay, here's the team. I'm not doing this by myself. You've met Tom Wilder, I hope, Teresa Massey, Dr. Tom Wall. He's a 10-pound brain on our team. He went to school at Oregon State University. He's a super smart guy. I made sure that he was involved with our first RRAP and this RRAP. Jennifer Fowler is a telecommunications specialist. She is a cybersecurity expert. If you guys want to talk cybersecurity stuff, those are the two people you really want to talk to, or Teresa, okay? Here's the rest of the team. These are folks at our regional office. Steve Noel, a very important gentleman, and Brandon Smith. They work predominantly emergency communications. Who here wants 911 to work when you call it? I didn't see everyone's hand go up. What's the matter with you? I want it to work. I want it to work for you, okay? We're taking a look at that. So a regional resilience assessment program. I'm going to get through some of these boilerplate slides rather quickly, but our job is to help inform large-scale resilience improvements, resilience enhancement options. So we're not looking at a single facility, we're not looking at a county, we're not looking at a city, we're looking at a large area, systems of systems, multiple assets. We have, with the transportation RRAP, been able to bring in, and I say we, this is state legislators, this is the state resiliency officer. Who's here has heard of Shake Alert? That's pretty good. You know, that's run out of University of Oregon, and the fielding of those sensors for seismic alert warnings is Shepherd right here out of University of Oregon. Did you guys know that? A couple people did. That's great. All right. Well, findings from the RRAPs really help those big, large strategic decisions. Plus, senators, congressional delegates get briefings on the significance and criticality of impacts based on this one particular hazard for the transportation RRAP to make large-scale transportation improvements for a region or a state. All of this is built with the purpose of that 5-year study. I kind of touched on this. We talked to federal partners, state partners, local, tribal partners. We don't have any territories, of course, in Oregon, but we bring a whole community. I mean, honestly, I bring my Oregon, Eugene roots to the table when I have an RRAP discussion. We've got local emergency managers there. We've got public works directors there. We've got airport directors, marine port directors. We've got IT, cyber folks. I'm bringing everybody to the table, and if they'd say they don't want to come, I pester them until they come, because I tell them this is a generational assessment. We are not going to do another one of these for years, because this is our one shot at it. I can only do one RRAP at a time. I want to look at water, energy. We're doing telecommunications now. We just did transportation. Those are our 4 lifeline sectors. If we lose one of those infrastructure sectors, our modern society stops. So everything is based on those 4. Now, public health, super important. Governance, really important. But again, those 4 foundational sectors, everything's built on. I want to touch those other RRAPs before I retire. So those types of conversations really encourage people, okay, we better be at the table because we're not going to get another shot at this discussion. And if they say no thank you, I move on to 2 or 3 other people that probably will. I've kind of already described this briefly verbally, so infrastructure resilience is just how well you can operate in either a degraded state or function past some type of incident, and really understanding the risk associated with whatever the incident is. For the transportation RRAP, is a single incident, a single scenario, Cascades reduction zone. It's a top-down, bottom-up approach, and that's that whole of community that I talked about. We talk multiple assets, systems, service provider interviews. We bring the people that actually own the infrastructure to the table. Because of the federal government, we don't own it. About 85% of the nation's infrastructure is privately owned. Did you guys know that? Yeah. Understanding how the infrastructure works and really having that interdependency perspective really helps facilitate the conversations. And it's really knowing those 4 lifeline sectors, the significance of small components that really can have large cascading effects. So here's a fun fact. What would you guys guess? Now I want you to participate, so please, you have to respond. What do you think the national average for the age of energy from the time it's produced to the time it's consumed? 30 days, okay? Well, how many? 30 seconds. What was the other number? 45 seconds. You guys ready? Put your seatbelt on. 1.8 seconds. 1.8 seconds from the time it's produced to the time it's consumed. How resilient is that? It depends. Depends on what the incident is. Depends on the scenario. If you're at the end of the distribution, if you're end of the transmission line, it's not as resilient. Nationally, we've conducted about 107 RRAPs across the nation. Generally, 10 get funded a year, and there are all sorts of RRAPs that have been done. There's the Research Triangle in North Carolina that is a heavy cyber IT RRAP that's been done. So if you have interest, some of these are public-facing documents. Go research them, go look, ask questions. I'll be around the rest of the day, okay? My contact information is at the end of this. We've had 3 RRAPs specific in Oregon, the Columbia River system. That's the ~1 grain export river in the nation, by the way. It's not the Mississippi, it's the Columbia River. So the criticality of that is huge, about a $25 billion a year industry, just for fun. We've done the transportation RRAP, and now we're doing the IT telco. 36 months, we do 18 months of data collection, and then we do 18 months of analysis. The analysis period could be that supercomputer. For the transportation RRAP, we did about 10,000 shake modelings of the state that hadn't been done before, okay? And one of the reasons we got all this supercomputer time was because of COVID. So we said, yeah, we'll take some of that at Argonne National Lab. Sure, we'll play. Outputs, hazard maps, geographical products, detailed annotated GIS maps. We've given the state about 150 gigabytes of data for the transportation RRAP. So when you talk about data dump, here you go. And they're using it. FEMA's using it, Northcom's using it, Transcom's using it, the Coast Guard's using it, state agencies are using it, counties are using it. I love that. That puts a huge smile on my face that here's all this work that we did, this team that I led, and there's hundreds of people that are using this data. And it didn't cost the state anything. We have resilience enhancement options at the end that we provide. Here's ways to help improve your overall resilience. We're non-regulatory. I can't come into anybody and say, thou shalt do X, Y, Z. We're a volunteer organization. We work with you guys. If you want me to leave, guess what I do? I pack up my stuff, say thank you, have a nice day, and I walk out the door. Most people don't do that, which is nice. But the report provides, based on criticality and understanding interdependencies, gives those resilience enhancement options which folks are using to secure large funding for the state. It's reviewed by stakeholders. Nobody that participated in the RRAP is surprised by the findings. They get to proof their section of the report because we're not going to produce a public-facing document without you signing off on it. I've already talked about cross-sector issues, dependencies, choke points, communication gaps, relationship buildings, enhanced coordination, broader awareness. The fact that we can affect planning at a national level outside of the state based on an RRAP, I'm not aware of another program or another entity working within Oregon that can do that. And I say that very biased, but I look you in the eye when I say that. If there's something out there that can make those large-scale changes, please share it with me because I'd like to somehow figure out to be involved with it. So the genesis for the transportation RRAP's rather long. Tons of work was done by many people before, but we just aggregated all of this data into the transportation RRAP. The seismic resiliency plan, ODOT did tons of work, bridge seismics, tools, highway seismic routes, the grade 80 update, lifeline corridors, all of this we were able to aggregate and assimilate, fun word, into the transportation RRAP, which is, by the way, the resiliency report. You can go to the governor's website and get a copy of it. It's about 139 pages, a lot of pictures and maps at the end. So here's the hazard for CSE, for the transportation RRAP. No major surprise. We've got a subduction zone off the Oregon coast that when it happens, we're all going to have a bad day. So that's the hazard. Threats are man-made. Hazards are natural. This is a hazard. And we just wanted to learn what it's going to do to our transportation infrastructure. And I'm thinking from an incident response perspective. So I approached this, frankly, like the Berlin airlift. I had conversations with marine ports, airports, state agencies, other federal partners that, yeah, this is going to be like the Berlin airlift for the first couple of weeks until we get the roads open, until we get rail reopened, until we get the seaports reopened. And that's going to be a much longer duration recovery, and that's in the RRAP. Priorities, we went to airports first. Washington did a transportation RRAP, and they did not go to airports first. They chose a different path. Working with the state resiliency officer, Mike Harriman, we went to airports, then we looked at transportation routes, and the reason we did roads second is because ODOT and Dugami did such an excellent job, we didn't need to waste taxpayer dollars on roads and bridges first. Then we went to seaports and riverports. Our fourth priority was rail, and I'll tell you up front, rail is going to be our saving grace. Class 1 carriers, UP and BNSF, are going to get here first, and they're going to save the day. And we couldn't get them to participate because they own the infrastructure, and they were afraid that we were going to come back with some regulatory requirement afterwards, which is not how an RRAP works. But that's reality, so we work with what we can. So ground motion, we looked at peak ground acceleration, used the 9.0 scenario, looked at, and by the way, I'm skipping about 60 slides, okay? So I'm just giving you guys the highlights, all right? We looked at liquefaction. Willamette Valley is mainly sediment. If you guys don't know that, that's why people moved here in the 1800s. So that soil, when you shake it, think of a big bowl of Jell-O that you just shake back and forth a lot. It breaks down because the water molecules in the soil help the soil break apart, and it becomes just this pool. And you can get mud volcanoes, buildings settle, all sorts of fun things. We looked at landslide data from Dugami and ODOT, and tsunamis. We developed a bridge seismic screening tool that counties in the state are using right now, that they can do bridge seismic screening either pre-event or post-event to understand the resilience of bridges. And you can see, oh, these are just the state-owned bridges. I took out the slide that has the city and county bridges. So we assessed about 18,000 bridges. Just a little louder.
The state owned it 76%. What was the local bridges? Higher percentage?
Yeah, there's actually more county bridges than there are state-owned bridges because of county roads. And one of the limiting factors right of boom after the event happens is going to be 48-inch culverts to develop temporary river crossings and gravel. So if you don't have 40-inch culverts stockpiled at your county public works office or gravel, you're probably going to be looking for a hillside to turn into a new quarry. We also used some artificial intelligence. This is really kind of cool, some machine learning. We took software for measuring capillaries in an eye and looked at 1 meter satellite imagery of the entire state of rivers And we looked at high flow in the winter, low flow in the summer, width, depth, current speed, put this all into those 10,000 shank models and are providing county emergency managers most likely locations for temporary forwards or crossing sites. So if you're trying to reopen a route and a bridge is down because you're trying to get to people to save them, keep them alive, you need to know where a potentially forward crossing site is. Not been provided before. So now, with all of this information, we know how the state's going to be broken up into islands. Again, looking at the Berlin airlift kind of perspective. Then we took census data, and with where the islands were shaped and formed, now we know what the support requirements are at those state staging areas or the federal staging areas, and how many people we're trying to keep alive inside an island. Because before, those state and federal staging areas were pushpins on a map because people think they made sense. But my question is, how resilient are those staging areas? What are the hazards that they're faced with? And how many people are they trying to support out of those staging areas? Not faulting anybody, whether federal or state employees, no one could answer those questions. And that's what really drove part of the RRAP. Because now we know, okay, we're trying to keep 186,000 people alive out of this staging area. Now Transcom and DOD can start to determine, well, that's going to be this FEMA, that's going to be this number of aircraft. Can their airfield handle that? Do they have the ramp space? Do they have the taxi space? What can they handle there? C-17s, commercial cargo, C-130s, all of those types of things. And this has all been aggregated into this RRAP. So that islanding perspective, it's really just trying to expand the recovery and response right of boom as fast as possible. Because some islands, people won't be able to get access. They won't be able to move. So again, I'm taking like an hour briefing. Oh my gosh, I'm out of time. And I'm trying to cram it into 20 minutes and it's not working. So we did road recovery for 5 years. We did 3 days, 2 weeks, all the way out to 5 years. Now, the reason I'm setting the stage for all of this is Telco IT RRAP. And I want to leave time for questions, so I'm going to jump ahead. Sorry, everyone. We are not looking at a specific scenario event, so we're agnostic. We don't care if it's a cyber event. We don't care if it's a man-made threat or a natural hazard. Here's all of our partners. Here's the systems that have been identified. PSAPs, emergency communication, microwave backbone, long-haul fiber in the state, data centers, cable landing stations on the Oregon coast. And I have to take a breath. So you can see that we're looking at a lot of data, okay? And it's really, as I said before, systems of systems, how it's going to perform, where the critical nodes are, the linkages between those nodes. And then I get to be fun and say, let's figure out ways to break it, how we're going to break it. Really complex, lots of communication aspects to consider. There's cyber assessments associated with it. There's physical assessments associated with it. And here's the transportation RRAP, which is, as I said, knowing where those bridges are going to fail, we now know where fiber cuts are going to happen, where energy breaks are going to happen, and I really felt it was important for you guys to understand how we're building upon the momentum we gained in the transportation RRAP and the islanding, and where we can go with that. Some sidebar conversation is we're now having conversation with the Army Corps of Engineers on how to develop microgrids in certain parts of the state to get power back on. We're coming up with multiple communication paths so that it's far more resilient. I've got time for 2 questions. I have 4 minutes. I got the 4-minute hook. So I have a time for 4 questions. Are there any questions? Not one question? Okay, please, thank you.
Do you have sounds like this is a much longer, very interesting speech. Do you have this recorded anywhere that you want?
No, I don't have it recorded. Great question. I will say that the Transportation RAP is a public-facing document. This, because we're working with proprietary folks, is not going to be a public-facing report. There's going to be components of it, but there are systematic updates that you can get access to, not real easily, but you can. Okay? And there was another question. Our data collection period is going to end next August, and then we go into the report writing window, which is 18 months. And my expectation is that we're going to deliver this report in May, May or June of 24. Oh, over there. Thank you, Clevin.
So very interesting point on using, machine learning, supercomputers, and all that. Once the report gets in, can you cite an instance of real life usage of this report? Because this is super good, right?
Yeah, it's, oh my gosh, I'm out of time, but the examples of the transportation RAP and how much it's being utilized now, I expect the same type of resilience enhancement options to be utilized for this telco IT RAP post-publication of the report. T-Mobile's involved, Lumen's involved, AT&T, Verizon, state agencies, the state SWICs right here. We've got some great heavy players involved, and folks are already salivating for the report so that they know where best to spend our limited dollars for those long-scale, generational enhancements to this vital infrastructure. I think okay, one more. Right back there.
I have a question. How can small, local, or regional, like cities or county agencies that may not be big enough to fall under the staging areas outlined, how can they access and use this info to increase their local resiliency?
Oh, sweet question. Thank you. Hit this report, okay? Download it. Start diving into this. If you hit me up later, and I'll help you get to the geospatial data, it's about 150 gigabytes. And you can then you can drill down to your local area and look at the island that's been identified for that particular local area. And then from there, it's not hard to start realizing this is the impacts to water, this is the impacts to energy, this is the impacts to telecommunication, and you can do your own little regional geospatial analysis based on the islanding.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone.